Artemis and Holly were just getting ready to bargain. Root was not what you'd call relaxed. Increasingly wide bands of yellow light were poking through the blue. Minutes left. Minutes. His migraine was not helped by the pungent cigar feeding toxins into his system. Have all non-essential personnel been evacuated? Unless they've sneaked back in since the last time you asked me. Not now, Foley. Believe me, now is not the time. Anything from Captain Short? Nope. We lost the video after the troll thing. I guess the battery is ruptured. We better get that helmet off her ASAP or the radiation will fry her brain. That'd be a pity after all this work. Foley returned to his console. A red light began pulsing gently. Wait. Motion sensor. We've got activity by the main entrance. Root crossed to the screens. Can you enhance it? No problem. Foley punched in the coordinates, blowing it up 400%. Root sat down on the nearest chair. Am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? You sure are, Foley chuckled. This is even better than the suit of armor. Holly was coming out the door with the gold. Retrieval was on her in half a second. Let's get you out of the danger zone, Captain, urged a sprite, catching Holly by the elbow. Another ran a radiation sensor over her helmet. We've got a power source breach here, Captain. We need you to get your head sprayed immediately. Holly opened her mouth to protest and had it instantly filled with radiation suppression foam. Can't this wait? She spluttered. Sorry, Captain. Time is of the essence. The commander wants a debriefing before we detonate. Holly was rushed toward the mobile ops unit, her feet barely touching the ground. All around her, retrieval cleaners scanned the grounds for any trace of siege. Techies dismantled the field dishes, making ready to pull the plug. Grunts steered the trolley toward the portal. It was imperative that everything be relocated to a safe distance before the biobomb went in. Root was waiting on the steps. Holly, he blurted. I mean, Captain. You made it. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And the gold, too. This is a real feather in your cap. Well, not all of it, Commander. About half of it, I think. Root nodded. No matter. We'll have the rest soon enough. Holly wiped radiation foam from her brow. I've been thinking about that, sir. Fowl made a mistake. He never ordered me not to re-enter the house, and seeing as he brought me there in the first place, the invitation still stands. I could go in and mind wipe the occupants. We could hide the gold in the walls and do another time stop tomorrow night. No, Captain. But, sir... Root's features regained whatever tension they'd lost. No, Captain. The council is not about to hold off for some kidnapping mudman. It's just not going to happen. I have my orders, and believe you me, they're written in stone. Holly trailed Root into the mobile. But the girl, sir, she's an innocent. Casualty of war. She threw her lot in with the wrong side. Nothing can be done for her now. Holly was incredulous. A casualty of war? How can you say that? A life is a life. Root spun sharply, grasping her by the shoulders. You did what you could, Holly, he said. No one could have done more than you. You even retrieved most of the ransom. You're suffering from what humans call Stockholm Syndrome. You've bonded with your captors. Don't worry, it will pass. But those people in there, they know. They know about us. Nothing can save them now. Foley looked up from his calculations. Not true, technically. Welcome back, by the way. Holly couldn't spare even a second to return the greeting. What do you mean, not true? Oh, I'm fine, seeing how you asked. Thank you. Foley! Shouted Root and Holly in unison. Well, like the book says, if the Mudman gold can gather, in spite of magic or fairy glamour, then that gold is his to keep until he lies in eternal sleep. So if he lives, he wins. It's that simple. Not even the council will go against the book. Root scratched his chin. Should I be worried? Foley laughed mirthlessly. Oh, no. Those guys are as good as dead. As good as isn't good enough. Is that an order? Affirmative, soldier. I'm not a soldier, said Foley, as he pressed the button. Butler was a little more than surprised. You gave it back. Artemis nodded. About half. We still have quite a nest egg, about $15 million at today's market prices. Butler usually wouldn't ask, but this time he had to. Why, Artemis? Can you tell me? I suppose so, the boy smiled. I felt we owed the captain something for services rendered. Is that all? Artemis nodded. There was no need to talk about the wish. It would be perceived as a weakness. Said Butler, smarter than he looked. Now we should celebrate, enthused Artemis, deftly changing the subject. Some champagne, I think. The boy strode to the kitchen before Butler's gaze could dissect him. By the time the others caught up, Artemis had already filled 3 glasses with Dom Perignon. I'm a minor, I know, but I'm sure my mother wouldn't mind, just this once. Butler felt that something was afoot. Nevertheless, he took the crystal flute offered to him. Juliet looked at her big brother. Is this okay? I suppose so, he took a breath. You know I love you, don't you, sis? Juliet scowled, something else that the local louts found very endearing. She smacked her brother on the shoulder. You're so emotional for a bodyguard. Butler looked his employer straight in the eye. You want us to drink this, don't you, Artemis? Artemis met his gaze squarely. Yes, Butler, I do. Why do you think Artemis wants them to drink the Dom Perignon, the champagne? What importance do you think it has to the plan? Without another word, Butler drained his glass. Juliet followed suit. The manservant tasted the tranquilizer immediately. And although he would have had ample time to snap Artemis Fowl's neck, he didn't. There was no need for Juliet to be distressed in her final moments. Did you see that coming? Do you think that's the end for them? Artemis watched his friends sink to the floor. A pity to deceive them, but if they had been alerted to the plan, their anxiety could have counteracted the sedative. He gazed at the bubbles swirling in his own glass. Time for the most audacious step in his scheme. With only the barest hint of hesitation, he swallowed the tranquilizer-laced champagne. Artemis waited calmly for the drug to take hold of his system. He didn't have to wait long, since each dose had been calculated according to body weight. As the thoughts began to swirl, it occurred to him that he might never awaken again. It's a bit late for doubts, he chided himself, and sank into unconsciousness. What in the world is Artemis up to? And do you remember how this relates back to what happened to Mother earlier in the book? She's away, said Foley, leaning back from the console. It's out of my hands now. They followed the missile's progress through polarized windows. It really was a remarkable piece of equipment. Because its main weapon was light, the fallout could be focused to an exact radius. The radioactive element used in the core was selenium-2, which had a half-life of 14 seconds. This effectively meant that Foley could tune the biobomb to blue rinse only foul manner and not one blade of grass more. Plus, the building would be radiation-free in less than a minute. In the event that a few selenium flares refused to be focused, they would be contained by the time field. Murder made easy. The flight path is pre-programmed, explained Foley, though no one was paying a blind bit of attention to him. She'll sail into the lobby and detonate. The casing and firing mechanism are plastic alloy and will completely disintegrate, clean as a whistle. Root and Holly followed the bomb's arc. As predicted, it swooped through the decimated doorway without knocking so much as a sliver of stone from the medieval walls. Holly switched her attention to the missile's nose cam. For a moment, she caught a glimpse of the grand hallway where she had, until recently, been a prisoner. It was empty. Not a human in sight. Maybe, she thought. Just maybe. Then she looked at Foley and the technology at his fingertips, and she realized that those humans were as good as dead. The biobomb detonated. A blue orb of condensed light crackled and spread, filling every corner of the manor with deadly rays. Flowers withered, insects shriveled, and fish died in their tanks. Not 1 cubic millimeter was spared. Artemis Fowl and his cohorts could not have escaped. It was impossible. Holly sighed, turning away from the already dwindling blue rinse. For all his grand designs, Artemis had been a mere mortal in the end, and for some reason, she mourned his passing. Root was more pragmatic. Okay, suit up, full blackout gear. It's perfectly safe, said Foley. Didn't you ever listen in school? The commander snorted. I trust science about as far as I could throw you, Foley. Radiation has a habit of hanging around when certain scientists have assured us it is dissipated. No one steps outside the unit without blackout gear. So that counts you out, Foley. Only bipedal suits. Anyway, I want you on monitors just in case. In case of what? Wondered Foley, but he didn't comment. Save that for an I told you so later. Root turned to Holly. You ready, Captain? Going back in. The idea of identifying 3 cadavers, dead bodies, didn't appeal to Holly. But she knew it was her duty. She was the only one with first-hand knowledge of the interior. Yes, sir. I'm on my way. Holly selected a blackout suit from the rack, pulling it over her jumpsuit. As per training, she checked the gauge before tugging the vulcanized cowl. A dip in pressure would indicate a rip, which would prove fatal in the long term. Root lined up the insertion team at the perimeter. The remains of Retrieval 1 were about as eager to insert themselves into the manor as they would be to juggle Atlantean stink balloons. You're certain the big one's gone? Yes, Kelp, he's gone, one way or another. Trouble wasn't convinced. Because that's one mean human. I think he has magic of his own. Corporal Grubb giggled and got an immediate clip on the ear for himself. He muttered something about telling Mommy and quickly strapped on his helmet. Root felt his complexion redden. Let's move out. Your mission is to locate and recover the bullion. Watch for booby traps. I didn't trust Fowl when he was alive, and I definitely don't trust him now that he's dead. The words booby traps got everyone's attention. The idea of a bouncing Betty anti-personnel mine exploding at head height was enough to dispel any nonchalance in the troops. No one built weapons of cruelty like mudmen. As the junior recon officer, Holly was on point, and even though there weren't supposed to be any hostiles in the manor, she found her gun hand automatically straying to the Neutrino 2000. The mansion was eerily quiet, with only the fizzle of the last few selenium flares to alleviate the stillness. Death was there too, in the silence. The manor was a cradle of death. Holly could smell it. Behind those medieval walls lay the bodies of millions of insects, and under its floor the cooling corpses of spiders and mice. They approached the doorway tentatively. Holly swept the area with an X-ray scanner. Nothing under the flagstones but dirt and a nest of dead monkey spiders. Clear, she said into her microphone. I'm going in. Foley, have you got your ears on? I'm right here with you, darling, replied the centaur. Unless, of course, you step on a landmine, in which case I'm way back in the operations room. Are you getting any thermals? Not after a blue rinse. We have residual heat signatures all over the place, mostly selenium flares. It won't calm down for a couple of days. But no radiation, right? That's right. Root snorted in disbelief. Over the headsets, it sounded like an elephant sneezing. It looks like we're going to have to sweep this house the old-fashioned way, he grumbled. Make it quick, advised Foley. I give it 5 minutes tops before Fowl Manor rejoins the world at large. Holly stepped through what used to be the doorway. The chandelier swung gently from the concussive force of the missile's detonation, but otherwise everything was as she remembered it. The gold is downstairs, in my cell. Nobody answered, not in words. Someone did manage a retch. Right into the microphone, Holly spun around. Trouble was doubled over, clutching his stomach. I don't feel so good, he groaned. That was a tad unnecessary, considering the pool of vomit all over his boots. Corporal Grubb took a breath, possibly to utter a sentence containing the word mommy, but what came out was a jet of concentrated bile. Unfortunately, Grubb didn't have the opportunity to open his visor before the illness struck. It was not a pretty sight. Ugh, said Holly, pressing the corporal's visor release button. A tsunami of regurgitated rations flooded over Grubb's blackout suit. Oh, for heaven's sakes, muttered Root, elbowing past the brothers. He didn't get very far. One step over the threshold, and he was throwing up with the rest of them. Holly pointed her helmet cam at the stricken officers. What in the world is going on here, Foley? I'm searching. Hold on. Holly could hear computer keys being punched furiously. Okay. Sudden vomiting, spatial nausea. Oh no. What? Asked Holly. But she already knew. Maybe she always had. It's the magic, blurted Foley, words barely decipherable in his excitement. They can't enter the house until Fowl is dead. It's like an extreme allergic reaction. That means, it's unbelievable, but that means... They made it, completed Holly. He's alive. Artemis Fowl is alive. Darn it! Groaned Root and heaved another quart of vomit onto the terracotta tiles. Holly went on alone. She had to see for herself. If Fowl's corpse was here, it would be with the gold. Of that she was certain. The same family portraits glared down at her, but now they seemed smug rather than austere. Holly was tempted to loose a few blasts into them from the Neutrino 2000, but that would be against the rules. If Artemis Fowl had beaten them, then that was it. There would be no recriminations. She descended the stairway to her cell. The door was still swinging slightly from the biobomb concussion. A selenium flare ricocheted around the room like a trapped bolt of blue lightning. Holly stepped inside, half afraid of what she might or might not see. There was nothing. Nothing. Nothing dead, at any rate, just gold. 200 ingots, approximately, piled on the mattress of her cot. Nice, neat military rows. Good old Butler, the only human who could ever take on a troll and win. Commander, are you receiving? Over. Affirmative, Captain. Body count? Negative on the bodies, sir. I found the rest of the ransom. There was a long silence. Leave it, Holly. You know the rules. We're pulling out. But, sir, there must be a way. Foley broke in the conversation. But nothing, Captain. I'm counting down the seconds until daylight here, and I don't like our odds if we have to exit at high noon. Holly sighed. It made sense. The people could choose their exit time as long as they left before the field disintegrated. It just galled her to think that they'd been beaten by a human, an adolescent human at that. She took a last look around the cell. A big ball of hatred had been born here, she realized, and it would have to be dealt with sooner or later. Holly jammed her pistol back into its holster, preferably sooner. Fowl was the winner this time, but someone like him wouldn't be able to rest on his laurels. He would be back with some other money-making scheme. Oh, and when he arrived, he would find Holly Short waiting for him, waiting with a big gun and a smile. We'll find out more next time.